Chapter 1, Physical Fitness and Wellness. We're looking at physical fitness and wellness. And of course, that affects how long you live and how well you live. So, one of the first things that comes up in this topic is the idea of life expectancy versus healthy life expectancy. Everyone averages in the US to live about 76 to 80 years, depending on race, gender, and other factors. So, in the US overall, a man is expected to live about 76 years, and a woman is expected to live about 81 years. However, of those years, not all of them are going to be healthy. In the final few years of life, on average, people are sick, they're not living fully in a way that allows them to function well and consider themselves or be considered healthy. So overall life expectancy is different from healthy life expectancy. And in the US, the average for healthy life expectancy for men is 68 years. That's 8 years less than the life expectancy overall. So that final 8 years of life is on average not a healthy 8 years. The same with a woman whose healthy life expectancy is 72, which is 9 years younger than the overall life expectancy. So that average of 9 years in between healthy and overall means that that's 9 years of living with poor health. So fitness and wellness, physical activity, and all of this helps to lengthen the amount of healthy years that one lives, and of course, lengthen overall life expectancy. There are, of course, disparities. The disparities can be related to race. Sometimes disparities can be related to socioeconomics as well. In this graph, we have life expectancy disparities as related to race for three groups: race and ethnicity, for Hispanic, non-Hispanic white, and non-Hispanic black. So for the non-Hispanic white population, this line, the small dotted line, is the one that represents their life expectancy. And theirs reaches higher in the overall healthy life expectancy and is even slightly on top for the general life expectancy. For Hispanic population, the dotted line with the line dot represents their life expectancy. And that is consistently below the life expectancy and healthy life expectancy for non-Hispanic white populations. And again, in the US, for non-Hispanic black populations, the healthy life expectancy is looks like it's almost 10 years less than the healthy life expectancy for white population, and even about looks like 8 years or so less than for even the Hispanic population. So the non-Hispanic black population has the lowest life expectancy. And that goes to show disparities and how society also affects how long one lives and how healthy one can remain. Now, over the years, life expectancy in the US has actually changed in the opposite direction than people expect. So for men and women, it has dropped by 0.1 or 0.2 percentage points. So, or age points, I should say. So in 2014, for example, for everyone, both all sexes, you have a life expectancy of 78.9 years. And by 2016, which was a few years ago, so we need to get even more updated information, but by 2016, the life expectancy dropped by 0.3 of a year. So for men, that drop was pretty drastic because it went from 76.5 years in 2014 to 76.1 years in 2016. And for women, we have a drop of 2 points as well, with 81.3 years in women in 2014 to 81.1 years in 2016. What are some of the leading causes of death among Americans overall? Many of them are issues that are sometimes called lifestyle diseases because exercise and nutrition can play a big part in preventing or managing these illnesses. So the top causes over the years 2014 to 2016 remain the same. And they were heart disease, cancer, there were unintentional injuries, chronic lower respiratory disease, stroke, Alzheimer's, diabetes, influenza and pneumonia, kidney disease, and suicide. These were the top 10 reasons for death in the US. And if you look at the pie chart here, and you see the leading causes of death among Americans overall, a good quarter, over a quarter of that is heart disease. Heart disease can be impacted by lifestyle, including how much exercise we get and how we eat, and our mental well-being. We also have almost a quarter of deaths being caused by cancer, some of which is also influenced by lifestyle and what you're exposed to. A lot of deaths are sort of spaced out among various other causes, such as stroke or accidents or diabetes and such things. And the last quarter is just all other possible causes. So any other illnesses or sort of experiences that cause death in the US. So what we see from there is that it is really possible to impact, since almost half of deaths were by issues that are influenced by health behaviors. And even in the section with smaller percentages, some of these are also influenced by health behaviors. So if half of the deaths in the US are influenced by physical activity and nutrition, then us as college students, as a group in general, being able to influence our own health and well-being and influencing the health and well-being of others, helping people to be healthier, can make a big impact on what is causing issues and causing death in the US in years to come. Let's bring it locally. Austin, Travis County, the leading causes of death are the same things, except that cancer is first and heart disease is second, followed by accidents, stroke, lung disease, Alzheimer's. Suicide is up, it's not a number 10 anymore. Instead, we have below suicide, we have diabetes, liver disease, and kidney disease. When you break it down by race, you definitely see huge disparities or differences between races. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the data for the city and for the US in general only include 3 groups, racial and ethnic groups. It's often white, Black, and Hispanic, Latino. This is being changed a little bit with updates including Asian populations, and there are some updates that you might find with indigenous populations, but unfortunately, a lot of the information just is these three groups. And so that is a limitation that we're working with, trying to get all the best information. But with what we have, heart disease was far more common for Black Austinites than it was for any other group. The second largest group experiencing heart disease as the main cause of death were white Austinites, followed by Hispanic Austinites. Same for cancer. Black cancer patients were experiencing death at higher rates than white patients and Hispanic patients in Austin. Accidents, you see the disparity. We have, again, stroke is a similar picture with Black residents experiencing and dying from stroke more often, followed by Hispanic residents and then white. For lung disease, white residents are experiencing that more commonly, followed by Black and followed by Hispanic residents. Same with Alzheimer's disease, and diabetes is most prevalent in the communities of color, Black and Hispanic communities, compared to the white communities. And these cause death disproportionately among these groups. So it's always good whenever you're looking at the numbers for things. It's good to know that the picture is different for different groups and to understand what disparities are and how they affect communities around you. Factors that affect health and well-being. A big chunk of health and well-being is lifestyle. Lifestyle meaning how much you move, physical activity, what you eat, and even your mental health and well-being. All aspects of a person's health and well-being are as they have within their control or that they have affecting their day-to-day, 53% makes up 53% of a person's well-being. So think of this pie chart as one person, right? So that person is healthy at a level of health, I don't know, let's on a scale of 1 to 10, that person's level of health is a 10. Half of what makes that person completely healthy is lifestyle. A little more than half, 53%. Then 21% of what makes that person healthy is actually their environment. That is outside of their control a lot of times. So the air quality, the noise quality, the political environment and decisions being made around their life. There's a lot of factors outside of our control. Water quality, the type of foods that they are able to access, like if the foods are high quality nutritious foods or not. A big chunk of health and well-being is environment. And so sometimes a person needs to change their environment to get healthier. Next, on the hierarchy of the things that makes one person really healthy is genetics. Genetics is about 16% of a person's health. So you inherit some of your health, right? You may inherit your body type, you may inherit your speed, your propensity to get certain illnesses. You may inherit certain emotional traits, right? All of these things that people inherit account for 16%, only 16% of a person's health. So when you put together genetics and environment, the part of health that is outside of a person's control adds up to about 37% of their health and well-being. Then this final, about 10% of someone's health and well-being is healthcare. Their access to doctors and their access to pharmacy, nurses, midwives, all these aspects of healthcare. So going to get a checkup, going to your dentist, going to check your eyes, all of these things, they account for about 10% of a person's entire health and well-being. So with that, we have a good breakdown of, yes, a huge part of a person's health and well-being is in their hands with regards to their lifestyle and whether they're able to access healthcare. And then the other part, genetics and environment, can be outside of a person's control. But the larger chunk is within a person's control. So that is why it is worthwhile to give effort to being healthy. There's a wellness continuum that talks about the range of wellness. One can be really, really well or really, really unwell. So striving for improvement in all 6 wellness dimensions is a lifelong process. Concentrate on the most pressing needs first, then strive for balance across the continuum. So if you are currently experiencing something pressing, like prediabetes or an injury, your knee is injured, you obviously will need to concentrate on solving that pressing issue first. You'll need to do the things that will get you outside of the danger zone of prediabetes, or you'll need to rest your leg and go through physical therapy and make sure you treat your leg in a way so that it can recover fully, right? So you start with your most pressing things first. Then as those, become solved and become managed, you can start looking at things that are less pressing, but still important. Like, okay, now that I have diabetes or prediabetes under control, now let me start thinking about whether my overall nutrition is ideal. And let me start adding or taking away the things that would make my nutrition better. Or now that my knee is not hurting, how's my dental health? I don't currently have a cavity, but I may need to start flossing, or I don't understand if I have gum disease. I haven't been to the dentist in a while. So maybe it's time for me to start looking at other issues before they become a problem. That is the idea for the continuum of health. Now, most people are at average wellness, especially at college age, right? What you want to go towards is increased wellness. And that just means adding healthy habits to your average wellness life, right? So now you're living your current life and then you decide to go towards increasing your wellness. What does that mean? Well, maybe I'm going to add eating more vegetables at lunch and dinner. That is simply adding something small, and already that is moving you towards increased wellness. Then you might add something new, like every day I am going to exercise for 30 minutes. That is definitely going to increase your wellness. So eventually, as you keep adding small things, you move from average wellness to increased wellness, and hopefully you can get to optimal wellness when your body and mind and everything is functioning at its best. Sometimes people move from average wellness to the other direction, right? Things like changing the weather. When the weather changes and their stress levels are high, then their immune system goes down. They start catching colds faster and easier, right? So that's where you start getting more signs of illness rather than wellness. And you start moving in the other direction. So then if you're catching colds more often, you're realizing that you're not functioning as well. And maybe those colds may get worse. You may get a bacterial infection. You may develop something even worse, that you don't want to develop. So there's that possibility. But even if it's not something you catch, like a cold, if you're at average wellness and you're sitting down on your computer every day doing your work, yeah, which is good, but you're not working out, eventually your body is going to start to react to that. And if you're not working out, and then you're not really thinking about what you're eating, so you're not actively eating healthier foods, it starts to build up in your body. And then you start getting signs of illness, chronic illnesses especially. And so once you start getting signs of chronic illnesses, you start going in the wrong direction. And now your focus is having to manage the chronic illness and having to bring yourself back to a healthier place on your wellness continuum. Also, over time, if nothing is done about chronic illnesses or if nothing is done to promote health, then person can develop irreversible damage in their body that can lead to just overall poor health for a long time. So it's really important to actually give thought to your wellness and always work towards increasing your wellness rather than just letting having average wellness be okay and allowing it to become something that goes in the wrong direction. So here's some health, wellness, and fitness terminology. Health. Health is used broadly to include everything from environmental health to the health of large populations. Historically, health was referred to the absence of disease. However, that has changed because everyone has a different starting point. And with that starting point, each person can be healthy for their bodies, right? So if someone was born with, for example, a weak heart, then that person can develop health that is fitting for their heart condition, right? It may not be the same level of heart health as someone who is born with a strong heart, but that person can still develop a healthy life and be healthy within the bounds of whatever is going on in their body. Wellness, the highest level of health possible in 7 different dimensions, which we're going to talk about in a while. Physical fitness is the ability to perform moderate to vigorous levels of physical activity without undue fatigue. Now, that concept of being able to perform without undue fatigue or tiredness, without getting tired unnecessarily, that is going to be a key point all throughout this course, this idea of fitness. The 7 dimensions of wellness. So wellness is the achievement of the highest possible level of health across 7 dimensions. Those dimensions are physical health, social health, intellectual health, emotional health, environmental health, spiritual health, and occupational health. Physical wellness encompasses all aspects of a sound body. This includes your body size and shape, your sensory responses, whether you can see well, you can hearing function as well, your body functioning in general, your strength, flexibility, and endurance, disease resistance, so your immune system, right? And your ability to recover or recuperate. Fitness is one aspect of physical wellness. Now, social wellness is being able to have satisfying interpersonal relationships and maintain social connectedness. Mental and intellectual wellness is being able to think clearly, reason objectively, analyze, and use your intelligence effectively to solve problems and meet challenges. So as college students, you are doing a wonderful thing for your mental/intellectual wellness. There's also emotional wellness, which is being able to control your emotions and express them appropriately at the right times. We also have environmental wellness, which is cultivating an appreciation for the environment and your role in preserving, protecting, and improving it. Because if you remember from that earlier slide, 21% of our health has to do with our environment. So that's 21% of our well-being. So it's important. It's more important than most people give it credit for. And so including having access to safe and healthy workplaces or living spaces, that can be part of your environment. Mold is a big thing that happens in apartments and that affects people's health, right? Spiritual wellness, that is experiencing a deep sense of purpose, meaning, or value from personal beliefs. This may include religion, belief in a supreme being, and or a feeling of unity with others or with nature. The point is a deep sense of purpose and having meaning in your life. All right? So a person can have spiritual wellness even if they don't follow a religion. If that person has a sense of purpose and meaning in their lives, then they have spiritual wellness. Now, the last portion is something people don't actually think about as part of wellness: occupational wellness. Occupational wellness is a level of happiness and fulfillment in work, including harmony with personal goals, appreciation from bosses and coworkers, and having a safe workplace. And in that realm of occupational wellness is financial wellness. And that is the ability to balance and manage financial needs and wants with income, debts, savings, and investments. So, where you work and your financial status absolutely affects a person's overall wellness. So, if we go back to the list, a lot of times we break wellness into physical health and mental health, right? But as you see, it's a lot more detailed than that. So we have physical health. We also have intellectual health, emotional health, even social and spiritual, and even occupational. All of those things can affect your mental health. So we can't just clump mental health into one thing. And we also forget that our brain is a part of our body, it is an organ. So there are also physical things related to our mental health. So instead of just seeing the world as, or your health as physical health and mental health, we are breaking it down into much more detail. So, why does it even matter? Good wellness habits can help you live longer and help you have a happier life. So you have more years overall and you have more healthy years. Good wellness habits benefit society as a whole. A population that is more productive and spends less money on healthcare, a population with less risk from chronic and catastrophic diseases. So if you have a healthy population, your whole society benefits more. So what's physical activity versus exercise? Physical activity is any bodily movement produced by skeletal muscles resulting in an expenditure of energy, whereas exercise is planned or structured physical activity done to achieve and maintain fitness. So what does that mean? Okay, so if every day you walk half of a mile to get to school, and that is just how you get to school. You don't have a car, a bike, or a bus. right? If that's just how you get to school, that is physical activity. You're walking, your body is moving, and it is still making your heart healthier. It is making your muscular endurance stronger. It is still making physical benefit for your body, but you're not doing it for exercise. You're walking to school, right? Whereas exercise is if someone decides, hey, I am going to walk for 30 minutes to improve my health. That is exercise. So all day long, we may or may not be engaging in physical activity. Every time we walk from point A to point B, the parking lot to the classroom, right? Or every time we stretch to take a book up off of a shelf, or we move a bench so we can sit on it out in the yard instead of inside, right? Every time we do something physical, that's physical activity. Exercise is when we when we plan a time to do something physical, like work out at the gym or play a sport or do something with the purpose of achieving or maintaining fitness. So that's the difference. All exercise is physical activity, but not all physical activity is exercise. Chew on that one. Physical fitness standards. Health fitness standards are to improve the individual's overall health. So they request or they suggest moderate physical activity. And that leads mostly to improvements in cardiorespiratory endurance and metabolic profile, right? Insulin sensitivity, glucose tolerance, improved cholesterol levels. But it may not result in notable physical changes like weight loss, right? So the fitness standards of 30 minutes of exercise, moderate exercise, 5 days a week, or any sort of fitness standard like that meant for the entire general population, that's just to keep you healthier internally, right? It may not cause you to lose weight. It may not give you abs. It may not make you, more muscular, but it will keep you healthier. Physical fitness standards lets your body meet ordinary as well as unusual demands of daily life safely and effectively without being overly fatigued, and you still have energy left for leisure and recreational activity. So what that's saying is the standards suggested for physical fitness is suggested to make sure that everyone can function really well. And if there's an emergency or if there's any reason to exert yourself, that you can do that safely and effectively and still be fine. Types of physical fitness include health-related fitness, the ability to perform daily tasks without undue fatigue, and the components of that are cardiorespiratory endurance, muscular strength and endurance, muscular flexibility, and body composition. Skill-related fitness is generally for sports and motor skill performance. The components of that are agility, balance, coordination, reaction time, speed, and power. So, figuring out which program is best. The fitness program that is best for you depends on what you want to achieve. For example, the fitness program for someone whose goal is to lower their risk of diabetes would be different from that of someone who wants to run a 5K. So use what you learn in this course to personalize your approach. What are the health benefits of physical activity? On the left side, regular physical activity decreases risk of cardiovascular disease, stroke, and heart attack, risk of type 2 diabetes, risk of colon, breast, and other cancers, risk of back injury, back pain, bone thinning, and arthritis, and reduces incidence of depression, anxiety, stress, and insomnia. Regular physical activity increases on the right-hand side, it increases blood flow and oxygen levels in the brain, blood vessel functioning, blood sugar regulation, ability to maintain normal body weight and mass, muscle and bone strength, healthy immune responses, mental functioning, overall life expectancy, and healthy life expectancy. Exercise and brain function. Exercise allows the brain to function at its best because it increases blood and oxygen flow to the brain. It helps with learning and making new connections between brain cells. It also helps improve thought processes by helping to produce new nerve cells and increasing synaptic transmission. And if your brain is functioning better, then your mental health will be better. Again, it's a reminder that your brain is part of your body, so mental health is part of health in general. The economic side of health. On average, other wealthy countries spend about half as much per person on health than the US spends. So the US is spending a lot of money per person on health, 10,000 and a half, right? So that compared to, for example, the UK, which has a very, very different health system, they spend only about 4,000 per person on their health care every year. So if you wanted to understand the economic side of health, that would definitely lead you into looking more into cost of health insurance, cost of healthcare, cost of pharmaceuticals, access, and all of these sort of things that you get with the economics. Here are 12 healthy lifestyle habits that were suggested in your textbook. 1, participate in a lifetime physical activity program. 2, do not smoke cigarettes. 3, eat right. 4, avoid high sugar snacking. 5, maintain recommended body weight through adequate nutrition and exercise. 6, sleep 7 to 8 hours every night. 7, lower stress levels. 8, be wary of alcohol. 9, surround yourself with healthy friendships. 10, be informed about the environment. 11, increase education. And 12, take personal safety measures. All right, so this chapter has a chapter discussion. For our chapter discussion forum, please answer the questions. This will be found on your My HTU page. If you need guidance on how to find it, go back to our Getting Started slides and our Getting Started video from week 1. So, this discussion forum questions are: does someone need to be part of a religion or church to have spiritual wellness? Can an atheist have spiritual wellness? Why or why not? So read your chapter carefully, listen through to the video, and think about it critically. Use your critical thinking mind, which means you're able to look at it objectively, not based on your feelings, but based on your high quality thinking process, and give me a good answer. I'm looking forward to reading your answers. That's it for your slides for chapter 1. Really quickly, you have also a chapter activity for chapter 1. I'm going to show that to you. It was used as an example in your Getting Started video, but I'm going to show it to you again. So just so that everyone's on the same page. Your first lab or your first chapter activity for this textbook is how well are you? It allows you to assess yourself in every dimension of health. So all those dimensions of health we just learned, you are going to answer a questionnaire about each one. So physical wellness, you answer for number 1, I listen to my body and make adjustments or seek professional help when something is wrong. Do you do that sometimes, often, always? Do you rarely do that? Do you never do that? Answer honestly. You're not being graded on like how perfect your health and wellness is. You are simply answering honestly so you can assess yourself and get yourself to where you want to be and what is best for you. So that is really important that you go through it and you answer it honestly. The second session is on social wellness. Section 3 is intellectual wellness. Section 4, emotional wellness. Section 5, spiritual wellness. We have environmental wellness in section 6. And we're going to add up the numbers at the end of each section to get a score. And that score is going to give you a really good picture of your dimensions of health. It doesn't have occupational on here, but it still gives a really good picture. And of course, you fill it in. You fill it in. You save your answers, right? You save all your answers and you upload the version with your saved answers on there, okay? I don't want any blank PDFs for your homework. All right, so to save, remember, you save as, and you find the folder you want to save it in, and you add your name. So you know that the one with your name or your initials on it is the one that you filled out. You save it, okay? All right, well, that's it for today. Thank you, and I'll see you with the next chapter.